Good morning, everybody. Today we begin the second week of the semester and the first week in which you'll need the textbooks. If you haven't gotten the textbooks yet, you need to get them soon because we are starting this week's readings out of them. A couple of other things here. I was happy to see that most of you completed the quiz for week one. It's very important that if you haven't done so, that you do so, because we're going to start reporting people that aren't doing their work pretty soon, and they will be withdrawn from the class. And the background that you got from this quiz, and most of you did very well on the quiz, by the way, the background you got on that will set you up for this week's readings, and readings really for about the next 3 or 4 weeks. Because today we start the Romantic era. And so if you haven't got the book yet, this is the current edition, the 10th edition. This is what I'm hoping you have. If you decide to save some money by buying the 9th edition, it'll look like this. So you'll still get the same readings in here, and they'll look the same, but the page numbers will be different. So be aware of the page differentiation. The page numbers in the syllabus and the schedule are in this edition, but the same readings can be found in this edition. So with that in mind, I've got you starting with the beginnings of the Romantic era, and they have, we're looking at William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, because the book that they co-wrote together, even though Wordsworth probably wrote most of it, the book that they co-wrote together, Lyrical Ballads, actually kicked off the Romantic era. And they were part of what are known as the Lake Poets, because they lived in the Lake region in the northern part of England, and they loved to go out into nature, and then they would write about those experiences. So read about what made romantic poetry, how it was different from the poetry of its time, from the age of the Enlightenment, from people such as Alexander Pope and John Dryden, and read the poems that are assigned. There is a reading quiz to make sure that you read. It should be easy if you've read the material. If not, then you won't do so well on it. And then there's a paper that you need to write. Pay close attention to the instructions on that paper. There's a question that needs to be answered. I need you to hit every part of that question, and I need you to take note of the part where it says that you have to include a quote in the paper. And in that part where you include the quote, there should be in the, I believe it's the MLA folder, a quoting poetry handout if you don't know how to quote poetry in MLA properly. So go into that folder, find the quoting poetry one, and quote it exactly like that. If it's a short quote, it's within quotation marks. You have slashes at the line breaks. If it's a block quote, you write it exactly like the poet did with a double tab in block formation. That's any quote of 4 lines or more. And make sure that you cite by line numbers, not page numbers. So that's just a brief overview, but the poetry handout will give you more details. So that's it. So we're starting the Romantics this week. You're going to get a taste of Wordsworth and Coleridge, and I do hope that you enjoy them, and I look forward to seeing your papers.